cards and books as well as CDs of original piano music. And so without further ado, we're really blessed to have Dr. Will Tuttle.
Use this or this? Maybe maybe I can. You can hear me without maybe singing. So can you hear me okay if I stand up? Yeah. Okay. So good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Great to be back again. We were here. I think it was exactly 2 years ago, and it's really an honor to be able to meet together in the Unity Church. I think in many ways the Unity movement in general is one of the healthiest movements in our society today, in the sense that it's based on the idea of radical inclusion, including all living beings within the sphere of our kindness and compassion, and also including all the spiritual wisdom, all the different traditions that are part of our human heritage, and not this kind of narrow-minded idea. When I was a kid growing up, there was this sort of idea that we just believed this particular creed that we had, and we would get to go on a special heaven, and it was for us true believers, too bad with other people. And so this idea, I think that Charles Fillmore really kind of summed it up very well. He said that he wanted to go straight to headquarters. Himself, and that idea that we don't need any intermediary, that we can, each one of us, connect authentically with the roots of wisdom, joy, of freedom, of creativity, of abundance, of awareness, of liberation, through our own minds and hearts and consciousness. And that there is not one particular path that everyone has to sort of squeeze themselves into, but that each one of us, through the power of our own consciousness and through the power of our actions, can mature spiritually. We can grow and evolve. That we can also create communities where we encourage that in other people. And one of the things I think that's important to understand is that all of us in our society today are born into a culture that does not do that. Does not encourage us to grow spiritually. In many ways, as soon as we go out of here and we go out into the world, we're facing obstacles that in many ways reduce our chances of spiritual liberation. We're in many ways taught to look in terms of competing, getting what I want, manipulating other people to get what we want, and this sort of consumerist mentality of buy more things, have more happiness. I can just buy all this stuff at Walmart and be really happy. But all these things, they tend to take us out of our inner wisdom, and they tend to put money in the pockets of other people. And power, in many ways, is sort of taken away from us. So I think what Charles Mills Fillmore envisioned, in many ways, was an educational ministry that was about essentially authentically connecting each one of us individually with what Jesus was saying, what he was pointing at, and the sense of, as he talked about it, when we go back into the New Testament and what Jesus was saying, we see very clearly that he's referring back in many ways to the Old Testament and kind of giving the essence of it, which he says is, shown in the mouth, there's two main things: to love God and to love people. That's the basic idea. And that sounds simple, and the teachings essentially are simple. They're not complicated. It's actually simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. And so, what we're going to be meddling on today, after the service, we're going to be workshop on intuition. And I think spiritual intuition is really the key to both of these things, loving God and loving our neighbor. Because the way we're raised in our society, in many ways, we're raised in a society that not only an educational system and so forth, that not only neglects our intuition, but I think in many ways kind of stomps on it. And that's a whole other talk. Why would we live in a society where there would be forces that want to reduce our intuition? I think in some ways, if you have people who are really connected to their intuition, and you have people who are not that easy to control. They won't just believe all of the official stories that come on the television. They won't just buy whatever products are advertised, that will actually be happy with wanting to keep things, that will be happy just within themselves. people who are empowered and connected and have a sense of solidarity with each other and with this beautiful planet. And so that is why I think most of the great spiritual teachers have been eyed with suspicion by the powers that be, because they're questioning a lot of the underlying assumptions of the nature of reality and how we should live in our lives. But again, I think it's pretty obvious to all of us today that we're living critical times. So we can't just go on the way we're going. We talked about the climate change conference. We have the treatment, mistreatment of human beings by each other, hunger and starvation, environmental devastation, abuse of animals and people, and so forth. So we see these, we see these problems in the outer world, and we know from the wisdom traditions of all the world that these are manifestations of the inner condition. And so there's a really wonderful teaching at the core of unity that if we want to make a better world out there, how do we do it? We try to change it out there? No, we change it here. Remember when I was living in this Tibetan Buddhist center in San Francisco back in the 1970s. There was this one woman, person, I can't remember her name, but a person who complained a lot. And we were at dinner, and Mom was sitting with us, and she was complaining about this and that. And finally he said, if you go and look into a mirror, and you see some dirt on the face in the mirror, it's not going to help to try to clean off the dirt by rubbing the mirror. The dirt is on your own face. You've got to clean it off on your own face. She didn't like that. I think that's an ancient spiritual tradition, a wisdom, a teaching unity, to clean off the dirt in our own mind, in a sense. And so we live in, as I said, in these critical times. So instead of, it is helpful to try to make a better world in the outer world. I think to really take time to meditate, to connect with our own inner silence, to connect with our intuition, this inner guidance system. Because if we're not connected to our intuition, then what is guiding us in our life? We have to think about this. Okay, so here I get up in the morning, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to live my life, and I want to buy this, or I want to accomplish that, or I want to avoid that, or whatever it is. And what's pretty much propelling us through this whole thing is the program, right? We have this program. And this has been essentially injected into us from the time of little infants. By our parents, by our teachers, by the ads on TV, by our friends, what they say, by our ministers, not the other ministers. By the way, I just want to thank Betty and Robert for the great work. I told them in our hearts. I know they'll be back here soon. But we have to understand that. So we're kind of propelled by this program. And if we're not tapping our intuition, we're just kind of propelled by this program that in many ways is not in our best interest. It's been in the interest of perhaps, it's hard to say who, shadowy forces in many ways. So what intuition does essentially is it connects us with an inner guidance system so that we're actually living our lives according to what we feel in our hearts at a deeper level. It's ours to do. So it's about connecting authentically with our own inner wisdom. And in the focus that book I wrote, I talk about this in some ways as Sophia. Sophia is the ancient Greek goddess of wisdom. And if you look cross-culturally, pretty much always, if you find a wisdom deity, it's a female goddess, I should say. For example, Sophia in ancient Greek tradition, Shekinah in ancient Jewish tradition, Rajna in ancient Buddhist tradition, Saraswati in Hindu tradition. These are all goddesses of wisdom. The idea behind that is that wisdom is essentially feminine, because all of us, whether we're male or female, bodies, we have both feminine and masculine capacities. The feminine capacity is the capacity that we have to be receptive. The masculine capacity is the capacity to be creative and active. You can't have one without the other. We can't really be creative if we're not receptive. In other words, if I want to be creative and I'm doing, it's not going to be that creative because I'm not getting inspired by a vision. I'm not being receptive to a higher purpose, a higher vision, or image of something that from music, be something that inspires the doing, right? So that's the capacity to open to be receptive, right? Just listen. Be able to do that during the day. We're taught in our society to be busy all the time, to just do what we're told. We're told to accomplish this task, we're told to do that. And we're not taught to just sit and listen, to be open and receptive. And so this receptive capacity is really the foundation of intuition, and it's the foundation of living our life and not merely going through life as a robot, just doing what we control. We can do that. We can go to church every Sunday. We can be well respected. We can accumulate lots of things. And yet there's going to be a certain shallowness in our life because we're essentially just pleasing forces that maybe have long passed away, but they still live within us. And so intuition is this, I think in Hinduism we know this in our bones, that there's no greater gift actually that we can possibly have as individuals than an inner knowing that we can learn to connect with and rely on to guide us to lead our unique life. We each have a unique life to live, and that it doesn't mean our life will always be easy, but it does mean it's our life. And it means, therefore, there's a certain satisfaction. It's like we have our challenges, we're learning, we're growing, we're living our life, we're not trying to please another force, but we're actually, again, every day, if we can every day connect with our intuition, what is ours to do at this time. And so this requires us, I think, to learn to quiet our mind and connect with the inner silence. And this relates directly to what Jesus said earlier, to loving God and loving your neighbor. Because loving God essentially, I think, is really this another way of saying to connect authentically with the transpersonal dimension of consciousness. What is beyond our person? This person is actually an old Greek word that means mask. We just had Halloween yesterday, but you took your Halloween masks off. But this mask that a mask is persona. Greek means persona means sound and heard means through. So like a mask, you're speaking through the mask, right? So we have this, all of us have in some ways taken on a mask that is our personality, and we speak through this, we identify with this separate self that we think we are, and we live that and make our way through the world. The whole idea is that if we can see that what we are is infinite and eternal consciousness that was never born in heaven, that we are the nature of joy and love, freedom and creativity, and this is always present. This is our true nature. If I narrow myself down to be just this one little expression of life, myself into a private prison. It's this great metaphor that I like to share. For example, if you're on the beach and you're walking and you see a footprint in the sand, you don't go up to the footprint and say, well, good morning. How are you this morning? You know that that's just a footprint. It's not the actual being that made the footprint. So in the same way, when you're looking, for example, at me right now, this is a footprint. What do you think of the footprint? You're not seeing the being. You can't see the being. You cannot see. You can never see something. You see a set of clothes. But this is also clothes. This is all an outer form. It's not the being. So when we, through meditation, come to realize that what we are is what makes this possible. We become healers because we naturally begin to look deeper. We actually begin to see eyes that can actually love and respect beings. Expressions of one life. They're all expressions of one life. And we're just here for a few decades. It's not a long time. If you really remember, we're here for maybe 8 decades, right? Or 9. 10. Beautiful, But even 10 decades, it's not that long, right? You probably think, oh, it's that long. So while we're here for a few decades, we're singing our song and doing our dance for a few decades. So we use our time well, in the sense that you're not just fritter it away trying to please people or to do things that aren't meaningful, and to use it to unfold our gifts. And I think each one of us, as we do that, when we naturally encourage other people to do the same thing. And this, I think, is the greatest thing. So what real, I think, the spiritual teachings come back to is as we cultivate our intuition, we begin then to connect authentically with the transpersonal dimension, which, as I said earlier, means to love God. We connect with what life that lives through all of us, which is completely beyond what we can conceive of the little mental or rational capacity. It's our intuition that can help us open to that. And then out of that comes the second thing that Jesus said, that we love our neighbor, love all others, right? Love the other human beings we share splendor with, ecosystems, beautiful celebrating forms of life, the birds and flowers, the cows, the trees, the whole celebration of life. We need to actually love and appreciate and be willing to protect and celebrate. This means that we question what our society is doing. There's a great saying by Krishnamurti. He said, it's not a good idea to be well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Not a good idea to be well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society. That's the thing, because we're kind of a deep natural urge in a way to be well-adjusted to whatever society we happen to be born into, right? We're born, here we are, California, wherever, Russia, or Amazon, or whatever, we're here. And so we want to fit in, and from the time of little infants, we're taught to get along, we want people to like us, we want to eat the same food, or say, wear the same clothes, or talk about the same things, all this stuff. Then at a certain point when we're maturing spiritually, we begin to realize that in many ways that's activism. I'm just going to be part of that and not question it. And for one thing, I'm going on along with things that I may not believe ethically. But for another thing, I'm just part of a tribe that, tribal identity, but spiritual awakening is in a sense connecting beyond that narrow kind of fixed identity, realizing we are universal beings. We are beings who are here for a reason. We're here to help humanity awaken out of the old ways of doing things, live our lives with kindness and love and creativity, and to find out what that means. From each one of us can do that in our own way. And as we do that, we can help everyone do the same thing. I was just up in 2 days ago. I went up to Portland. I met some people. This seems pretty radical. I met these people who are meditating a lot. Meditating for 7 hours a day. And they're young people. They're being wearing no shoes, and they won't use money. They just refuse to use money, so they're just somehow managing to live. But like I was talking about, I just find more liberation. And I did that myself, actually, at one point in my life. When I was in college, I went through this, there's a candle says you can hit a midlife crisis, or that's when you're climbing up a ladder, and you get pretty far up on the ladder, and then you realize, oh my gosh, my ladder's against the wrong wall. I don't know what am I doing? So this is when I was about 20. I don't even want to go up with that wall. So anyway, after college, I ended up going out with my brother on this kind of spiritual program. We thought we'd try to get to California. You know, it was one of those things. It was like, you know, we just knew that there's more to life than just working a job, and so I was talking to my father about this, and I was like, oh, you know, what's going on? I'm getting this college education from you. I wanted to attain cosmic consciousness. I read this book called Cosmic Consciousness by Richard Brentwood about the 1890s, and he said there's two main kinds of consciousness. There's self-consciousness, which most people have, which is where I care about myself. Then there's cosmic consciousness, which is some great sages and saints like the Buddha and Jesus and others have reached, both men and women. And this is the goal of human life, is to attain cosmic consciousness. This is why we're here. And when we do that, we find a greater sense of joy, illumination, maturity, some emotional mobility, compassion, all these things. So I remember thinking, gosh, that's it. Rat race. So my brother read about it, and he said, wow, that's a great idea. We should do that. then the whole problem was, what do you do? And then we thought, well, we'll go to California. We go to California in 1975, you know, so California was like, where to go? So we thought we'd go to California, got as far as Buffalo. And I would say, you know, a few weeks of walking, we got as far as Buffalo. Then we headed south, and we went all the way down to Tennessee, actually, for many months. But we walked that whole time, for probably a year with no money. I remember finally we went to Huntsville. We had given our money, we were just walking and meditating, and we were just you know, hopefully we got some food somewhere. And finally, I remember we got to this Zen Center in Alabama, and I wanted to buy a book. And we went to the local bookstore, and they had it. And they said, well, you know, we need to have the bathroom painted. All right, we did a trade. But, you know, the idea is, you know, we can somehow, each one of us, find a way of questioning some of the underlying assumptions and living our lives in ways that bring us liberation. I remember when I was walking with my brother, and we really didn't know where we were going to end up the next night or whatever. I remember feeling the sense that would kind of wash over me now and then, joy, a sense of these are existential happiness. And I think that's our true nature. All of us, if we really connect with our true nature, what we truly are, deep down deep, we'll see that we are essentially a bubbling spring. That's our true nature. And if we're living somehow, connecting with our intuition, and living our life, we feel a sense of joy, a sense that this is my life. It's not always easy, but it's my life. And if we're not living our life, you know, that tends to get covered over. So I just want to thank all of you, because I know if you somehow found your way through this door, that you are on a path of developing your inner wisdom, your intuition, your sacred feminine, connecting with joy. And like the Buddha said, the greatest teacher is not the teachings, it's not some outer thing. The greatest teacher really is the community. If we can create communities where each one of us is doing our own inner work, and then come together as a community to support each other in doing that, that's a great thing to do on planet Earth. We come here to this planet, we're only here for a few years, and if we can use this time well to just create communities of sanity, loving kindness, meditation, and so on, then I think we've really done something to contribute to the healing of our lives. So I want to just close by thanking all of you. I know that together we are making a world. Bless you all.